Welcome back to the John Fredericks Radio Network, your Godzilla of the truth in America, where America comes to talk in the morning, your one place for straight news. That's why we're the Straight Talk Express, and the president listens to our show when he's shaving in the morning because he knows that we're trucking the truth every day. It's great to have you with us on the John Fredericks Radio Network. We're live today in Miami covering the US-Qatar Business Council and the government of Qatar and the U.S. expanding their economic roles, and also coming into the White House on Tuesday, April 10th. His Highness the Emir of Qatar will be visiting with President Trump and working out some of the economic and political issues that have to be talked about in an effort to expand the cooperation and relationship between the two countries. It's kind of fascinating the amount of business that the U.S. does with the government of Qatar, which is it's not on anybody's radar screen. It's like the best kept secret in America. I'm live in Miami, and with me is Mohammed Bakarat, and he is the managing director of the US-Qatar Business Council. Mohammed, great to have you with us.
Well, thank you, John. Appreciate it, and thanks for having me today here with you.
You know, this has been fascinating for me, getting out and covering this, and I just want you to share with our audience the level of economic cooperation between the government of Qatar and the United States. It's stunning in its scope, and it's expanding, and it's one of the best kept secrets out there. Nobody knows about it. Nobody talks about it. In a way, your country has been very humble and shy about some of the things that they've done. Tell us about some of the great things going on now.
Well, let me start by saying it's true. This economic relationship has been expanding in many years in the past. We haven't been out there talking a lot about it, and there's one thing, you know, in the culture, in a way, when they say if you're doing something in your right hand, don't let your left hand know about it, specifically sometimes when it comes to charity. But we believe that a lot of the establishments and the business engagements that the Qataris have in the United States is contributing to the economy. It's contributing to the job creation in the United States. It's as well establishing a lot of new opportunities by investing in many of the industries, as well the discussions to invest in the infrastructure. There's a lot of opportunities for that, and the U.S. needs a lot of investment. We feel this will be a very beneficial relationship when it comes to our bilateral relationship. It will also add value when it comes to the investment models that, you know, Qatar evaluate. So it's more of a sound investment decisions, but at the same time, it's decisions that will lead to more engagement, and we would want to see more of that. We want to talk more about that. Many people talk about the commitment of the Qatar Investment Authority to invest $45 billion in the United States. There's many of that has been already allocated and already been spent in many industries, real estate investment, properties. But as well, they're looking into, again, the infrastructure, tech industries, investing in the technologies. But before that, we had, for example, Qatar investment in the Golden Pass, in Texas, and how much this contributes. There's an estimate of almost 45,000 jobs with the U.S. partners, ExxonMobil. It used to be supposed to be an import terminal, has converted to an export terminal. As we in the U.S. will be start exporting gas, that will be one of the main terminals to do that. There is a lot of smaller investments, private investments. Estimates is between $5 to $8 billion from private investors in the hospitality, in the hotel services, which in many cases these investments creates a lot of jobs. The numbers might not be too high. However, the numbers of jobs that will be created in many places in the U.S., not just gateway cities or major cities, will add more to the economy and the relationship.
Well, your Minister of Economy and Commerce, who had a chance to meet with and speak with earlier today, said that the total jobs that Qatari investment into the United States has created just recently is about 1 million jobs. That's, of course, including the big order of 350 planes from our airline manufacturers. But, I mean, creating 1 million jobs is nothing to sneeze at.
No, definitely, and that's something that not a lot of people know about. The large numbers of orders, part of it, as you said, the orders between Qatar Airways and the American aircraft manufacturing is keeping major cities where they have these factories alive and growing. There's also the military orders as well, the defense orders that maintain assembly lines and manufacturing lines open with our American partners. A lot of these numbers, in comparison to what the Department of Commerce in the United States utilize for export numbers that contribute directly or indirectly to job creation. The last number that they have shared was every $1 billion of exports will actually contribute to 5,744 jobs in the United States. And if you take a simple order like the Boeing or the aircraft orders, aviation aircraft order of $92 billion, estimated $92 billion, that by itself will generate in average or around 427,000 jobs. These are big numbers. The economy here is in need and more of jobs, more Americans involved. There's skilled jobs. Jobs that in manufacturing, jobs that goes into many of the outer cities in the United States, and we're hoping with more investment, more actually trade and expanding that relationship and export, we'll have more and more of these jobs.
I think that's really the key, is jobs and economic growth and prosperity between the U.S. and Qatar. You're on the John Fredericks Radio Network. We're live in Miami. We're with Mohammed Bakarat. He is the managing director of the US-Qatar Business Council, and they're having their big road show, if you will, here in Miami this week. They'll also be taking it to other places in the U.S. Mohammed, I want you to tell the story you talked to me offline about the entrepreneur in Silicon Valley starting a tech company, and how you engaged with him and why it would have made so much sense for him to come to Qatar for his startup.
Yeah, definitely. So when we were traveling to talk more about the business opportunities in Qatar and potential for American companies to be there and establish there, a gentleman in Silicon Valley who owns a startup asked me a simple question: why would I go to Qatar? I'm trying to start up here. And in a simple answer, I said, listen, in here you're looking into a big, for a startup, obstacles for entrance. Qatar, almost 98% of the country is covered with fiber optics. You can set up any place, high speed or ultra high speed, they call it, internet in many places. You have free zones. You have a lot of the zones available for you to establish your company, your offices. You can hire skilled employees from any place in the world. You get them to come in, get their residency permits, establish your business, tax-free zones, so your entry cost is much lower than the United States. And with the kind of companies, specifically when it comes to the tech, you can be anywhere in the world and fulfill the services that you want to actually offer. And at some point he paused and he's like, this makes total sense, because I'm looking at an office here in somewhere in the valley, and the fastest internet in that specific area was like 100 meg, and getting people from skilled, specifically in IT sector, and here and working with us is not as easy. Plus the
Cost of living,
and in the valley, the
taxes,
high taxes,
San Francisco tax, California tax, U.S. tax, this tax, that tax, sales tax, excise tax. You got every tax imaginable in Silicon Valley. You go to Doha or in one of your regional zones with basically what is 5G internet, wireless, right? Fastest in the world, 98% of the country covered by fiber optics, and you don't pay any of that. Why on earth would you start a tech firm in San Francisco?
Yeah, and he realized that, and he's like, that's interesting. And at the same time, I said, that does not mean that you have to move and do everything there, but you can start. And then once you get up and you start your business, the startup cost is minimized. You start expanding and bringing your offices and establish it in the Silicon Valley, hire more people, expand your market in the United States, North America, and so on. And with just, minimum startup cost, and then within, I don't want to give a time frame, but maybe a year or less, you're going to start feeling comfortable that now I want to open up my offices. And if you look at the comparison, maybe if you start in here, spend 12 months, maybe you'll end up with 5-6 people hired, maybe. But start there maybe with 2-3 people, and then within a year or two, you come here and you start your business in the United States, open up your offices, but then you're going to start with hiring maybe 10 or 15 people. So if we kind of do the arithmetic, you're going to have more jobs in the United States, even though that you started somewhere overseas or in Doha.
It makes total sense. And maybe as I'm expanding the John Fredericks radio show company, maybe I should look at doing that, right? Sure. And build, because I could do my show right from Doha. I did it 2 weeks ago, all week, and maybe build my network within the within the Gulf region as well, right?
Yeah,
dual audience.
Have a Middle East version, or
have a Middle East version.
Yes,
a Gulf version. I'm not sure, but Gulf, yes, Middle East. Yeah. I like a Gulf version, right? I'm not sure I want to get involved. Not sure I want to be going to Tehran or so. I may not ever get out of there.
Yeah, no, we would love
to pull my visa.
Love to have you, and as you know, Doha and Qatar offers a lot of great infrastructure for broadcasting and media. The space that is available for that kind of shows and even programs is very wide, and it's open, and everyone is welcome to come and do that. So hopefully we'll get to see you spending more than 2 weeks in Doha soon.
Well, it is interesting because I was talking to a lot of my friends, Mohammed, about the level of freedom of the press in Qatar, which is much different than you're going to find in any other Middle Eastern company. But the level of choices of newspapers, of internet sites, of course, Al Jazeera is there, but there's other news stations. You can turn the TV on and get any number of competing news organizations. But then when I was going from place to place in the car, one of the drivers was telling me, he says, there's no talk radio here like the U.S. We need talk radio here. And he's telling me that there was one major talk station in Cairo that dominated the entire country, and they do politics like I do. So I thought that was interesting.
That's pretty interesting, and probably there should be more talk shows and on the radio. But you're right. The space that is offered and the press freedom in Qatar is
it's
unique.
Breathtaking.
It is, and in Qatar, I mean, many years ago when all this started, and the media started operating in Qatar, broadcasting to the world, it was a unique model in the Middle East. It has not been there before, and many countries and many stations started following that model by bringing guests from all over the world, talking about so considered like some taboos in a way, in politics, in social life, topics of discussions that enriched I would say the cultural experience and understanding of many people in the Middle East and in the region, specifically when it came to the Arabic speaking channels. So we're hoping to see more of that, more people establishing their operations there. We focus a lot on that, and again, this, in a way, when it comes, if you talk about the business, since I'm more on the business, the more you have of that, the more you feel that people comfortable in coming and building up operations and setting up there, because they feel that if everything is open, and from press to social life, it will be a great experience for people to bring their families and start working in the country when it comes to establishing that business. You want your people exposed, and your kids and your family exposed to a very open environment, way of thinking, and all of that. So it all leads to being somewhat a hub for people to look at and feel that this is a great place.
A business hub.
A business hub, great access, great infrastructure,
great airline,
wonderful airline with more.
That's Air Qatar, and they just ordered 300 planes.
Yeah, 350 American.
350 U.S. planes. So they're flying. I mean, Air Qatar now is flying all over.
I believe the last thing I remember is 160 or if not more destinations, and when we talk about even the U.S. economy, our economy here, we look at it and it's just like how much business comes to the United States when Qatar Airways fly in and can bring a lot of tourism from across the region. Flying Qatar Airways, people feel like they want to go and visit destination that is not serviced by many other airlines that land in the United States. The amount of operations that they establish here also contribute to more. Again, back to the idea, more jobs, more people looking into spending money in the United States when they come here, and it enrich a lot of these cities that the airline lands in. And beside the aviation side, Qatar Airways cargo, which contribute to a lot of the shipping, bringing products in and out, a lot of routes servicing the region and international destinations. It all contributes to, we mentioned the economic free zones and the free zones. Some of them are near the airport's operations for cargo operations. For when you establish that, you have, a great ports, seaports, and then you grab a lot of great airports as well that help you get your products in and out, your service, your employees, any of that across the world in a global network, truly global network.
It's an exciting time, no doubt. You're on the John Fredericks Radio Network, trucking the truth across America. I am your Godzilla of the truth. We're live in Miami for the US-Qatar Business Council's been here all week, and we are with Mohammed Bakarat, and he is the managing director of the US-Qatar Business Council. And we're almost out of time, Mohammed, but I do want to ask you this. His Highness, the Emir Al Thani, coming to Washington April 9th and 10th, will be there for several days. April 10th, big day. The Emir, for I guess the third time, is going to be meeting with President Trump. And, he's been a big piece. His vision has been a big stimulator for the economic expansion that we've had and the relationship that we've had. What do you think, from a business standpoint, meeting with President Trump, who understands business better than any president we've ever had, what do you think his objectives will be from a business situation?
I would say this on a personal perspective. Seeing the the understanding of business that the president, the United States president, have will make it easier to showcase the involvement of such investments in the United States. When hopefully in talk about numbers, talk about investments, talk about exports, with someone has done business globally, has worked in business in many countries across the world, as President Trump did, it will immediately be obvious how much this relationship is critical, and how this relationship has, carried to advance and enhance many aspects of in the U.S. economy, in the American kind of job creation. We understand that this will showcase as well what's the vision for the future when it comes to the business, knowing what the U.S. is planning to do, the vision of the president on enhancing the business environment in the United States and investing in the United States. It plays a lot in the president thought process when it comes to having America doing more with trade, expanding and enhancing that. And a lot of these models plays in the same aspect of what we're looking to do and what the U.S. is looking to do as well. And we want to see with this visit, we're hoping with the big delegation, as you said, with the Qatar U.S. Economic Forum going on, a very, very high number of business, high-profile people from Qatar coming in. Some of them have a lot of investment in the United States, but a lot of them here also to explore investing and expanding their investment, and at the same time looking to source a lot from the United States, take more to Qatar, and from Qatar to the regional area through a lot of the enhancement in the zones that we have there.
It's going to be an exciting week, an exciting time as we continue our coverage of the Middle East and the Gulf. I want to thank Mohammed Bakarat for being with us, the managing director.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it.
US-Qatar Business Council. Hey, you can get more information on the US-Qatar Business Council by going to usqbc.org. That's pretty easy. usqbc.org. And, of course, we will be live at the White House and the President's press conference on Tuesday with His Highness the Emir Al Thani. And hopefully I'll get to ask a question. I've submitted a couple of them. We'll see what happens. I go about 1 for 5 on this stuff, so I think my number's about due up, so it all might work out. You're listening to the John Fredericks Radio Network, trucking the truth across America. Your Godzilla of the truth, right here, trucking it every day. Hey, my competitors, they're sitting in the studio, drinking a cup of coffee with a donut, reading you the paper. I'm out all over the United States and the world, bringing you the news straight up. That's why you tune me in, not them. Thanks for being with us. We'll be right back here on the John Fredericks Radio Network, trucking the truth.